something they never told you about being alone. Something hidden beneath the noise of a world that mistakes quantity for meaning. What if the life you have quietly built, without a crowd to validate it, reveals more about who you truly are than any social calendar ever could? In a world that has confused connection with performance, that rewards people for how many names appear in their contact list rather than how deeply actually live, there is a different kind of person, quieter, less visible, but far more awake. Today, we are going to explore 5 profound personality traits that tend to appear in people who have few or no close friends. Before you settle into what you think this conversation is, I want to be clear. This is not a list of problems. This is a map of something rare. Trait 1, depth. Most people move across the surface of life at remarkable speed. They fill every silence with noise, every evening with company, every available moment with stimulation. But the person who has learned to sit alone, truly alone, begins to discover something the crowd never finds: the extraordinary richness of their own inner world. People without many friends are not shallow. If anything, they are the opposite. Think longer before they speak. They feel things more completely before they move on. Where others skim, they dive. Where others react, they reflect. This is not a social failure. This is the development of genuine depth, and it is becoming increasingly rare. Philosopher Marcus Aurelius, who governed the most powerful empire in the ancient world, spent his quietest hours writing to himself, not to be seen, but to understand. He knew that depth of character is not built in crowds, forged in solitude. If you find yourself here, this likely speaks to you. You are not someone who floats across the surface of things. You are someone who descends into ideas, into meaning, into the true substance of life. That is not a deficit. That is a gift the surface world does not yet know how to name. Trait 2, self-sufficiency. There is a kind of freedom most people never experience. Not because it is beyond them, because they never stop reaching outward long enough to discover it lives within them. A person with few friends often develops this freedom early, sometimes painfully, but always powerfully. They learn to sit with their own thoughts without needing someone else to interpret them. They learn to make decisions without waiting for permission. They find satisfaction not in the mirror of other people's approval, but in the quiet recognition of their own values lived out honestly. Look around. How many people cannot spend a single weekend alone without that low hum of restlessness, that reaching for company to fill a silence they have not learned to welcome? Self-sufficiency is not loneliness, it is sovereignty. It means your sense of direction comes from within, not from the noise outside. This is one of the most quietly powerful things a human being can develop, and it almost always grows in solitude. Trait 3, discernment. Stay with me here because this next part is important, and it is one the world rarely frames correctly. People who have few friends are not always those who could not find connection. Often, they are those who refused to settle for the wrong kind, carry a finely developed sense of what a real relationship feels like, and a deep discomfort with anything that falls short of it. This is not coldness. This is not arrogance. This is discernment. The ability to sense the difference between presence that genuinely fills you and presence that quietly drains you. Between a bond that builds something lasting and one that simply fills the silence. Seneca wrote that it is better to be alone than in poor company. He was not speaking as someone who rejected humanity. He was speaking as someone who understood that the quality of who we allow into our inner world shapes who we become over time. Your circle is small. It may not mean no one wanted you near them. It may mean you have always known, perhaps without the words to explain it. Real connection carries a particular weight to it, and you are not willing to accept less. That is not weakness. That is wisdom. Most people spend decades trying to find trait for. If reflection, in an era of relentless stimulation, ability to turn inward has become one of the rarest qualities a person can possess. Most have filled every available quiet with a screen, a sound, distraction. The internal world, the one philosophers once called the seat of wisdom, sits largely unexplored for the majority of people alive today. But the person who spends meaningful time alone has often, quietly and without announcement, become deeply familiar with that inner world. They know their own patterns. They recognize where their fears begin and where their strengths take root. They have sat with their own contradictions long enough to begin understanding them rather than running from them. This is not overthinking. This is self-knowledge. And it is the foundation of nearly every meaningful transformation a human being can undergo. Where others search the outside world for answers about who they are and what they want, the reflective person has been asking those questions patiently, honestly, the kind of intellectual courage that most social environments actually discourage. Because crowds reward performance, solitude rewards truth. Carries something most people are still searching for. Not peace borrowed from company. Peace built from the inside out. Trait 5. Transformation. Final trait is perhaps the most significant because it is the one that makes all the others matter. People who have spent real time alone, not as an escape but as a practice, tend to become people who keep evolving, while social circles often become mirrors that reflect us back unchanged. Solitude creates the conditions for genuine transformation. There is no comfortable agreement to lean on. There is only the honest confrontation with who you actually are, and the quiet invitation toward who you have the potential to become. This is not a comfortable path, but it is a rare one. It is precisely what the world needs far more of. People who are not simply shaped by their environment, who have shaped themselves from within. Philosophers across centuries called it the examined life. Psychologists call it integration. Whatever language you choose, the meaning is the same. You have not simply been passing time. You have been becoming. You recognize yourself in what we have explored today, in the depth, the self-sufficiency, the discernment, the reflection, willingness to keep transforming. Then this message was meant to find you. These are not the traits of someone left behind by life. These are the marks of someone quietly, steadily ahead of it. If this resonated with you, join our community at Silent Resonance. We explore these hidden truths every single week. Hit subscribe so you never miss one. This touched something real in you. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. Thank you for being here. I will see you in the next one.